Thank you and good afternoon, assembled members of the media. You will have already heard from His Excellency the Governor, the Minister and Police Commissioner. So my objective here is to give you an investigative update on the progress so far regarding the matter, and I'll take questions after. Briefly, to give you some facts behind what occurred at about 9 p.m. last night, Wednesday the 23rd of January, the Bermuda Police Service received 911 calls regarding two men having been shot in the premises behind me, Belvin's grocery store on Happy Valley Road in Pembroke. I can confirm that, as in previous media reports, the two men succumbed to their injuries and were declared deceased at the King Hospital. The two victims in this matter are Mr. Haley Outerbridge, who is 34 years old from Pembroke Parish, and Mr. Rico Frederick, who's 25, also from Pembroke Parish. I would like to take this opportunity to extend my sincere condolences to the family and friends of both men. An armed response unit was the first officer to arrive on the scene. They located the two men in the rear of the premises, and they appeared to be suffering from multiple gunshot wounds. EMTs also administered care to the men and delivered them to the King Edward Memorial Hospital, and where, as I said, they were declared deceased. A full complement of detectives from the Serious Crime Unit is investigating this matter, and we continue to examine forensic and other evidence that has been retrieved from the scene. Critically, we are very interested in speaking with anyone that may have seen a group of men on 2 to 3 motorcycles that were in the Curving Avenue and then the Happy Valley Road area along to my left as I speak. We believe that these persons could be of interest to the inquiry, and as I said, it could be 2 motorcycles. We know there were definitely 2 motorcycles, and then a group of 3 on 3 motorcycles traveling together. They would have traveled from, as I said, Curving Avenue onto Happy Valley Road, and following the shooting in the premises behind me, they traveled east along Happy Valley Road. One of the men in this convoy of 3 bikes is known to have chased one of the victims into the scene, into the store. He is believed to have been wearing a black crash helmet and a full-length rain suit, which will be noticeable in the photos I'll provide to you following this press conference. The important thing for everyone to understand is that someone in the community knows the identity of these gunmen. This gunman or these gunmen came home to a family member or friends or a relative otherwise. There are people in the community who are harboring these murderers and enabling this activity, and they know who they are. I am appealing to anyone in the community that believes that this senseless killing must stop to come forward immediately and assist in bringing these offenders to justice. The police have consistently demonstrated, alongside their partners in the DPP, in recent court cases that we can and will bring offenders to justice when we have the cooperation of the community, and specifically those people that are brave enough to come forward and make a difference. Anyone that can assist in bringing these killers to justice, I am urging them to come forward and call the Serious Crime Unit on 247-1739 or on the confidential and independent Crime Stoppers hotline. And if there's any questions, I'll take those now.
Questions?
So there are several CCTV cameras in the surrounding areas. Do you know if any of these cameras picked up anything to indicate that these men may have come from the western end of the island?
I can't comment on the origin of the gunman. Obviously, the investigation has started, and that will hopefully bear those facts out. Part of the standard procedure is us to look at all those types of things, and the investigation will generally bear that out, but I can't speak to that.
Are these cameras functioning and able to record any images if in fact those men did come from that direction?
Well, like I said, part of our investigation involves looking at CCTV cameras, and I can't speak to whether or not every single camera across Bermuda is functioning at this time, but we're having some good progress in looking at that type of evidence.
The reason I'm asking is because there is talk within this community that the individuals may have come from the western end of the island. Anything to indicate that?
I can't comment on that.
evidence of if more than one firearm was involved?
No, we believe only one firearm was used in this incident. I'm sorry? We will release that at a later time. We don't know. A forensic autopsy is going to be conducted by a pathologist from overseas. That has not been done as yet. So once we have that, we will be able to put out that type of information. Yes.
When you say gang related, because members of this community are also saying that the men were not in fact involved with gangs, although they knew individuals who were involved with gangs that are based in this area.
I'm sorry, you said...
People that we've spoken with in this community, they're suggesting that the two individuals who were murdered last night were not directly linked to any gangs from this particular neighborhood.
I can't comment on that.
Any other questions?
Is anyone in custody?
No, there's no one in custody at this point. But we're hoping with the assistance of the community and brave people in the community to come forward and help us, that we can expedite that process.
Any other questions?
Yeah, good afternoon. I'm the MP for the area, and Mr. Commission is the neighboring MP. And we're just going to see the parents of the two victims. They're actually neighbors. But first of all, I'd like to give my condolences to the family and friends of these young men of this latest tragedy. And we appeal to the community, like they've always done, that it's everybody's responsibility. The police have their job. The government obviously have their job, the churches have their job, and the schools and the community. And together as one, we'll be one community unified. Because we're working only on 22 square miles. And if we work together, we get to the bottom of this situation. And we've been saying this now for years, the last 2 or 3 years as the MP of the former minister. And I've said it over and over because most of the murders have happened in my constituency. But I keep appealing that if we come together as a community, we can get to the bottom of this. Because these guys are not just dropping out the sky. You know, somebody is harboring them. You know, somebody knows who these people are, where they are. We just need to come together as a community.
For my part, Mr. MP Reach talked about the fact that our constituencies are basically next door to each other. For example, across the street is my constituency. Both of the victims and their families live in my constituency, just up the road. So once again, you know, the specter of death is hovering over Bermudian families. It's hovering over us all. Certainly the disquiet and sense of foreboding is permeating the whole area, and it's just a reflection of the tragic events that occurred here yesterday. But I just want to say that, again, besides the criminal justice response to this, i.e. our police who are doing everything they can to bring closure to this and other matters before us over the last few years, we must also focus on the underlying causes which are causing these behaviors to proliferate, particularly amongst working class young black men, and to be situated in working class black communities all up and down the country. We cannot be in denial about this. And I think until we learn to talk the hard truth about what is going on, as I've attempted to do for the last 20 years, even before becoming a member of parliament, as many of you know in the media, we are still going to be finding ourselves, I think, spinning our wheels in trying to reduce and quell what is becoming a social threat to all of Bermuda.
The Shadow Minister of Public Safety has called on the police and the governor to basically step up to their responsibility. Do you guys share that opinion?
I'll tell you what, if I may, Gary, as member of the former cabinet, what we have done, we have started to implement ceasefire, and I think shot spot, helps to identify where these shots and whatnot come from. And I think if this current government follows on the groundwork that was laid, they're going a long way in answering that question.
Are you willing to cooperate with the current government to assist, perhaps, with addressing this situation, putting forward some of the ideas that the former PLP government had in place and which may in fact have been proving to bear fruit?
Now, for the good of our community, we have to work together on this. So I think across social lines, across racial lines, across party lines, we have to come together as one to deal with this.
Gary, I just want to add to that. See, it's not just the current government following on with the good work that was done by the previous PLP government on the criminal justice side. It's also on the other side of the coin as well, what you're talking about in terms of prevention and changing the paradigm and dynamics which have produced these behaviors which we find so appalling. For example, the Job Corps program that came out of the McKinsey study. As you know, I worked on that which was driven by the issue pertaining to young black males. Career pathways. I heard the current Minister of Education, Mr. Brangman, point to that as being something that they need to build upon. Again, that's coming out of some of the work that I and others did within the PLP. And that's what the community needs to understand, that unless we begin to deal with the underlying causes, we're just going to see this replicating across generations. Because I think if anybody was honest about it, the real trajectory of this goes back into probably the mid-'80s, when the young men of my generation were 18, 17, 19, and 20. And so we're going into the third generation of this type of behavior. Certainly the previous governments of that era dropped the ball in a big way, despite being advised of what was taking place. And I think we're still reaping the downside of the decisions that were made and some that were not made during that era.
A former PLP minister suggested when asked that there wasn't a gang problem in this community. That was 10, 11 years ago. I think we're regretting that now?
Well, certainly there's
or not dealing with it then as a gang situation?
Yeah, certainly there's blame to go around on both sides. But if you look at the Minch report, we talked about the change that took place in the mid-1980s, late 1980s, as being a critical juncture which saw further marginalization of black working class men. This is a socio-economic phenomenon, and if you go with any reputable studies worldwide, the same thing comes out of it, that in countries where you see growing income inequality, you're going to find the growth of crime, drug use, drug dealing, drug smuggling in these communities. Okay, that's one thing we do know. So it's not just a matter of poverty. The key thing is the areas where there's growing income inequality. And in Bermuda, most of that income inequality is color-coded. That's why you're seeing it proliferating in these black working class communities.
Thank you very much.